Yo, what's going on here? Arthur Rashad here. You've reached Road to Exoneration, where a bunch of people come together and we try to put our minds together in order to solve one of those true um, crimes that have happened in the past. I'm Arthur Rashad. First, let me thank everybody that pre-ordered the book at arthurrashad.com, AUTHORRASHOD. Love you guys. Let's dive into it. It's part 6 of the Daniel Coleman story. If you haven't watched part 1 through 5, I would urge you to go back and watch it so you can catch up on it. It's getting interesting, right? It's getting interesting. So we left off last week with witness 6 right here. So let's look at witness 6's statement again. Show it to the camera just in case you want to pause it. All right. So at approximately the same time that Coleman was released, a black male was observed with a coat over top of his shoulders walking through the parking lot of Newark Police Department. By the time the blank officer was able to drive to the area, the subject was gone. A white coat fitting the description given by the victim was found behind the parking lot of Newark Police Department, and the coat had blood all over it. So that was a statement from witness 6. So if you don't understand, at the same time that Daniel Coleman was being stopped, over the radio there was a transmission by another officer blocks away that said there was another individual being pursued that matched the description from the victim. They weren't able to catch up to that suspect, but while they were on his trail, they found the coat, which was full of blood. Right. So where did the blood come from? More than likely, the blood came from the rape at 330 East Main Street. Right. So right now on here, if you look, we have a coat with the hood on it. Now, why do we have this other coat without a hood on it? We have that coat because detectives, after Daniel Coleman was picked up from his job, went to Daniel Coleman, the home that Daniel Coleman was staying in with his girlfriend at the time. They asked her if they could search the house. She said no. They asked her if there was any coats there. She said, of course it is, but you need a warrant in order to search the house. Next day, she called back to the detectives and said, you know what? I don't want any trouble. You can just come here, get the coat, go on your merry way. Detectives come, they got the coat, but the coat didn't have a hood on it. They wanted a coat with the hood on it. Why they wanted a coat with the hood on it when they already had a coat with blood on it is beyond me. I can't figure that part out. But anyway, so they were upset that the coat didn't have a hood on it. They got a warrant that same day, went back into the house, searched for a coat. They couldn't find a coat with the hood on it. So let's fast forward to the trial where the detective that actually found this coat was being questioned by Daniel Coleman's lawyer. So, question. She goes through about the coat, where you found the coat, all that good stuff. And then she asked the question, and was the coat later identified by the victim as being the coat of the assailant? So right now she's referring to the victim at the ATM. So what they want to know is, did she identify this coat as being the coat worn by the suspect? And his answer was, I believe so. So of course it was, right? So she confirms that this was the coat. The coat had blood on it. Not only that, but also there's another question. And as far as you can recall, was that the same coat that the assailant was wearing in the picture from the ATM? So if you remember, there were pictures at the ATM of the suspect and the victim. That suspect had a hood on his coat. So what the lawyer is asking the officer now is, did it look like that coat was the same coat that was being worn by the suspect? And he answers, the coat had a hood on it, and it appeared from my vantage point that was the coat that was being worn at the time. So if you're not able to keep up, there's a coat now that's in the courtroom, which is Daniel Coleman's coat. The bloody coat was never taken to court. And from my mother's statement and my father's statement, they both say that the lawyer said they can't take the coat that was actually worn during the rape because that would make the victim look bad. So we have that. Now to the FBI. Now this coat right here was eventually sent to Federal Bureau to be examined. And next week, we'll talk about those results. We'll talk about the DNA that was gathered from the coat, and if that DNA traced back to Daniel Coleman, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah, and I think that's it. I think next week will be our last week. We'll look a little more into the case. Again, Arthur Rashad, book Fatherless Son is out. It's getting interesting. You don't want to miss next week. God bless you. Take care of yourself and others.